a show we didn't talk about much, but definitely is worth it. David Simon's The Deuce on HBO season 2. We talked about season 1. This show takes a look at sex workers, the sex trade in New York City in the 1970s, and we talked about, I think, the first episode or two at the beginning of the season. And season 1 was brilliant. Season 2, I didn't think was as good as season 1. I think my biggest gripe against it is while season 1 felt a little bit more cohesive to me in terms of other than Vince and what was going on with him, which ended up being tied in at the end, it was all around like the pimps and the different prostitutes and the storylines through them, and Vince at the end kind of being the puppet for the mob to create this different way of the prostitution. This season, there was a lot of different storylines that went a lot of different directions, and it was almost too much to fit into the 9 episodes. I mean, this was one more episode than last season. I felt like there were so many things that didn't really get explored to the extent they could have. The thing about it, though, is that David Simon still is so good at directing and creating these worlds and exploring these relationships that it's still a lot of fun to watch. And for a show to kind of leave you wanting more is like the biggest gripe you have against it is pretty good. So I would say that, I mean, The Deuce is still a top-notch show, very quality, but season 2, I think, wasn't the strongest season of the 2 there have been so far. Only one more season left, but what was your take on season 2?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just incredibly well made. Like, it does very little few things not well, and watching this, I think there's like less payoff this season. Like you just said it, like season 1, something is achieved. Like the plot really moves by the end, right? And yes, we have advanced in years. Yes, now it's more about porn than really prostitution, right? But I just think like not all the characters were served this way. It's an ensemble show for sure. I mean, Vince and Candy are the leads, quote unquote, because they have the most screen time, and they don't really feel like the leads all the time, and I think, I started to notice, like, I felt like Abby in particular was kind of underserved this season. I mean, she just kind of helped trying to help the girls, but it just felt like she was way more involved in season 1. It just didn't really go anywhere for her this year. Like, she kept doing the same thing the whole time, basically, right? And that's it's not growth. It's just like they didn't give her much screen time this time. I thought Gary Carr again was brilliant as Cece. Was a much more vicious, manipulative character this season. I thought we saw a lot more of like the quote, good sides of him in season 1. I think a lot darker this season. And I actually thought they timed his end quite well, actually. As Emily Mead's character is finally, becoming like a quote star, So I like that part. That's probably my favorite thing to see. But like, there's a lot of storylines in this. The police storyline doesn't quite go as much there. Like, we get it set up right away, and then you kind of know what's happening. Like, like the pre-AIDS gay storyline, again, could have had more with that. It's there, and again, none of these storylines are bad, but just like they're just kind of there. The mob stuff, we get other mob characters this season. Could have had more. We didn't get it. It's okay, but I actually thought Frankie actually had some better moments this season. Again, I don't think the dual role is necessary. For the twin brothers that Franco plays, but they do feel like 2 distinct performances. I did think Frankie had some cool moments this year, especially when he bags the older woman. I thought that was hilarious. I was laughing for like 5 minutes. That was great.
I also liked when he like gets the money from the mobster for the extra 20,000 for the was it Red Hot is the name of the movie, and he like pours it over her, and he puts his feet up, and he's like laying back, and they're like, Frankie, you got 2 left shoes on? He's like, yes, I do. And just like totally like owned it. I was like, okay, I'm down with Frankie being like somewhat competent, I guess, and also just owning his like stupidity.
And I also like the way they brought it in using Red Hot. Like, again, that brings Frankie in as a producer, right? That brings Pipolo and the mob in, right, as producers and benefactors, right? And we also had made a ton of sense, but we had a moment where Candy is propositioned you know, in the Me Too era. I guess, you know, that's what it used to be like. So
Hmm.
blatant like that, right? And seeing that. So again, I think the show does a lot of stuff. It's not like a show that's like keen on like here's new ideas for TV making, right? It's not like that. But
Yeah.
it's just telling great stories in incredibly effective worlds in the Simon fashion. And you know, it's again not much bad to say about it. I was still quite a big fan.
You know who I think was probably my breakout character was Larry, played by Gabenga Ekanagbi, I
Yeah,
believe. I think I nailed that. He was really, really good this season. And seeing
arguably the
him,
best growth. Yeah,
yeah, seeing him move from being a straight pimp in season one into an actor and maybe even a legitimate actor by the end of season two
mm-hmm.
was pretty interesting. Also, his relationship with Dorothy, who's played by what's her first name? So Fishburne. Um,
Dominique Fishback.
Dominique Fishback, sorry, Dominique Fishback. I thought was really interesting seeing her kind of. They became more like equals by the end of it, or at least like he respected her more in a
Yeah,
way.
and he also was at the forefront of most of the conversations about race on the show too. So yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he really took a step up. Great character development for him for sure. And like
Hmm.
that's great to see. But again, it comes at the expense of other characters because there was only so much screen time. It's a big ensemble.
Yeah.
But hey, it's a
Hmm.
good problem to have.
I really laughed when the photographer was taking his headshots and he like told him he needed to take a picture of him with his pants off, and he like finally laid down with his pants off and he's like, I wouldn't want to see that thing get angry at me. I was dying laughing. The show really does inject humor really well into this. Um, what do you think of Maggie Gyllenhaal this season? Because Candy is a major character in this, but probably the most tragic tale in a lot of ways. So, I mean, I guess like other than like Dorothy, who this season really had a sad arc. But yeah, Maggie Gyllenhaal and her relationship with her son is really tough to watch at points.
Yeah, you just kind of feel like, given when this show is taking place, late 70s, could be the 80s for the final season. It's like you just kind of feel like you know where how it's going to end. You know, it's like you
Mm-hmm.
can't really see the happiest of endings. You know, so that is tough.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the storyline. I really like seeing like her take charge and you know be a avant-garde filmmaker, independent as fuck. You know, that was really cool. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought Harvey Wasserman, David Krumholtz, ton of weight loss this year.
Yeah.
He's really funny as a character actor too. So I really like that plot. I thought that was probably the most consistent of them, you know, because it's probably
Mm-hmm.
the closest thing we had to a through line. Started bringing characters in, you know. But
Yep.
Maggie Gyllenhaal said before she joined the show that she was not interested in playing a prostitute straight up. You know, she wanted to
Mm-hmm.
that be a deeper character, and that's part of the reason she's a producer on the show. But also because you know there's a lot of growth for Candy too. So yeah, I thought she was still quite good.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really, I think, and too much more to say about it other than David Simon is quality. The show is quality. Definitely check it out.